we do a lot of training on kind of an overview of everything. And that's kind of, we call it our boot camp program. And that kind of is kind of that first 60 days of making them feel comfortable, making them feel like we're there for them. We have, the training, we're going to spend the time on them.
Welcome to Peer Talk, a dialogue with business owners just like you. Peer Talk conversations run the gamut of business challenges facing owners today. The host of Peer Talk is Dan Crowley, founder and owner of Peer Executive Groups, which provides a safe space for owners to share their experience, grow their businesses, and learn from their peers.
Hi, this is Dan Crowley. We have a number of great business owners in our Peer Executive Group network, and our job is to give them a voice. Welcome to Peer Talk.
Macanex Construction Products is a proud sponsor of Peer Talk and PEG. Macanex designs and develops equipment specifically for inefficiencies within the rental industry. Our products deliver high-value ROI as well as innovative operational solutions for your business. We're here to help you get the job done faster, safer, and easier. Email us at info@macanex.com for your exclusive PEG specials. And remember, it's spelled MAKINEX.
Welcome to Peer Talk. Our guest today is Katherine Mitchell, the Chief Executive Officer at All Star Rents. Katherine started in the business at a very young age, then went to Sacramento State, got her degree in business administration, focused on accounting, ended up at one of the big four accounting firms, and then came back to the company as a CFO, moving into the CEO chair in 2018. Welcome to another edition of Peer Talk. Today we will be talking about people strategies, and we have Katherine Mitchell from All Star Rents in California here with us. Welcome, Katherine.
Hi, Dan. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Yes, no problem. We are very excited to have you here. Obviously, we know a lot about All Star Rents through the years. Based in Fairfield, you guys are now up to, 13 locations?
Yeah, 13 locations between California and Nevada now.
Wow, excellent. Great. And now, so tell us a little bit about All Star. How, what was the origin story on that? When did it come about and how did it come about and all that?
So my grandfather started them in the 60s. He came out to the West Coast and wanted a business that he could grow with his family and, have some roots. So we started then. My father, Ken DeVries, and his siblings ran them for a long time as well. And now that they've all retired and enjoying those years, me and my brother, mainly the next two in the third generation that have started working for the business and just keeping it growing and thriving and surviving.
Wow, excellent. So true family business, 3 generations, outstanding. Very cool. And so what geo territories do you cover? Like if you have 13 locations, you're obviously pretty spread. You even mentioned you're in Nevada as well. So tell us about what that looks like.
Yeah, we've got quite a few in the Bay Area, kind of on both sides of the Bay, and then up through Sacramento. And then kind of the outliers, we have one in Chico and then one up in Sparks, Nevada, and kind of, filling in that footprint. Wow.
That's a big coverage of a big area.
Yeah, it's challenging, but it's it's fun.
Now, the type of business, how would you break it down from a homeowner, customer versus contractor? Is it 50-50? What's that look like?
We're about 70-30.
Okay.
Contractor versus homeowner. It fluctuates obviously depending on the season and, changes in the economy. The last year we've seen an uptick in homeowners, just with more people staying home and, working on those kind of projects.
Okay. And then your structure. So you personally, when did you get involved with the business?
Well, like most people that grow up in this business, I started when I was in high school, working at different locations. And then through college, I worked at a couple of our larger branches. And then I actually went away to work in public accounting for quite a few years, worked for one of the, big four accounting firms. Nice. And then when my parents got ready to retire, they, pulled me back in, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I've been back working for All Star for almost 15 years now.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. Well, that's great. I'm excited. I'm also a veteran of Big Six accounting. Back in my day, it was Big Six, not the Big Four, but So you obviously were like in a CFO spot. You moved over to CEO, and that was 2018.
Yeah, 2018. So yeah, obviously with a strong financial background, the CFO was more my wheelhouse when I started.
Sure.
But then, learned a lot more about operations and seeing a lot more of that side of it. I mean, I like the challenge of the operations has fit me well the last few years, and was looking for, kind of to grow and push myself personally. And the operations side definitely has pushed me out of my comfort zone, but definitely in a good way.
Well, and again, I love the CFO accounting seat because you're dealing with numbers and some financial systems and things like that. And then, boom, you jump over into this CEO role, and now you've got every possible people concern that a company would face sitting in your lap, right? So you got to make those decisions. So we're definitely going to unpack that and hear more about it. But before we do, this is part of our CRA series. So I just wanted you to kind of share with us how you guys came to participate in CRA and what involvement you have personally with it.
Yeah, so both my father, Ken, and my grandfather, Ted, have had a long history with, definitely with CRA, and my grandfather even a lot with ARA. So it kind of was a natural progression for me to get involved. When my dad was getting ready to retire, he introduced me to the board. I mean, that's been, I want to say 10 years at least.
Wow.
That I've been on the board or active in a committee or, at some level. When he retired, I took his place, and then I've kind of progressed from there. I really love the CRA. I think their goals are great. Their mission, they do a lot for the smaller rental yards for sure. And I've been I'm on the treasurer now, so I'm on the part of the exec team, which has been fun.
Great. And I know one of the things we're trying to do is with the peer groups is to try to ensure that all of our West Coast operations are getting the benefit of CRA membership. And obviously we believe in CRA and what you guys are doing in serving your members so well. So hopefully we can continue that partnership and keep it moving the right direction, and looking forward to catching up with everybody in Vegas at some point.
Yes,
I guess
yeah.
That's the plan, at least, right? So we got to hope for the best.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the people management in All-Star Rents. So let's first talk about org structure. So we've got a CEO in place. Now, what's your core leadership team look like?
So our leadership team consists of myself, and then I have two district managers, one for the stores in the East and one for the stores in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of our core, the core of our leadership there. And then I've got obviously office manager and office staff underneath that. We have an HR manager that handles all of the recruiting, onboarding, and that part. And then the managers report directly to those two district managers.
Got it. And so those district managers, and I had known from the history when those positions first started 5-6 years ago in your company, they were focused almost specifically on asset and fleet, but now they do interact and to some extent review performance of branches.
Yeah, so it's we've kind of had, an evolution, and we've tried different organizational structures with having a fleet manager or having the district managers be more in charge of the fleet, and it's kind of become a hybrid of that as it's evolved. They're mainly overseeing the managers and, doing performance reviews with them, kind of guiding them. But then there's also the fleet aspect of it too. I'm very involved in fleet management as well, which kind of helps, I guess, balance out some of that with their day-to-day, oversight of the managers too.
Oh, that's great. So a lot of people working together to direct the ship, but obviously you've got to have the vision on the top to make sure that there's a single point that people can move towards. Correct. So that being said, let's talk just about some of the mechanisms inside your business for people management. How many employees do you currently have? Do you know what the number is?
We have about 95 employees right now.
Wow. Getting to that 100 milestone.
Yeah, I mean, we get up there, but it hasn't quite broken 100 yet. Going into March, it could possibly. But
for those of us in business ownership, the real number's 50, right? So when you pass 50, then you're
Yeah,
you're dealing with things you didn't deal with before then. So
exactly. And it feels like over 100 doing, there's, more rules and regulations, but
yeah,
we haven't
it's
quite
true.
broken that yet.
Could be. So org structure, we got it down. We see the org chart in our head. Now let's talk about, getting the people in place on the right people in the bus and the right
Yep,
seats, right?
seats, yeah.
So you've got a first rule is you have a payroll system. I think you guys are using, you said Paylocity now?
Yeah, Paylocity. We did it internally for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but it was becoming a challenge, with more regulations, stricter labor laws and stuff. We just needed an extra layer in there.
Sure.
So a few years ago, we switched to Paylocity, and it's been really good. I mean, it's definitely an evolving system.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate that they're pretty dynamic compared to some of the bigger, the larger payroll systems.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to customize a lot of it. We do our onboarding through that system. We can push a lot of information to our current employees through that system.
Gotcha.
Things such as handbook notifications and those kinds of things that you have a really good paper trail on. Did they see it? Did they review it?
Oh, nice.
To kind of cover that basis for us.
And we're seeing that with the payroll companies, that if your payroll company is not making those types of offers to you, that's something to consider, because
sure.
Certainly, I mean, my goodness, how great is that when you consider if you do have a handbook, you are so much at risk if you do not manage that handbook and the changes to that handbook.
Yes.
And so that would be a great place to start when you're looking at payroll companies. So you mentioned onboarding. Let's take a step back from that. Recruiting. Well, how do you guys go about identifying and recruiting? Who does that type of work? Is it your HR manager?
It's mainly between our HR manager and then our office manager, which is actually my sister-in-law, is Laura DeVries. She does a great job. Both her and the HR manager are pretty heavy in recruiting. The California labor market, especially in the Bay Area, is incredibly tough. We've done everything from Craigslist to job fairs to, all the paid searches, Indeed, and all every different type you can imagine, specific ones for trade schools and driver, programs. But the main way we do it now is mainly through Indeed. We do a lot of sponsored searches.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worked out pretty well, and we're pretty aggressive on it.
That's great. And I know the challenge, especially with unemployment, or let's say underemployment happening right now, it's so hard to find people and get them interested. And obviously having 13 locations can be somewhat appealing. It gives them a little bit of sense of career development, which I think we're going to talk about in a minute here. So you go through the process. If it's somebody on a higher level, a leadership role in the company, would you consider doing behavioral analysis or anything like that? What's your history with any of that?
Yeah, we have done a lot of that in the past, especially with manager or district manager level. We've had people trained in giving the Myers-Briggs test. We've done DISC evaluations. Not that they're the end-all tell-all of a person's personality, but they'll kind of give you a sense of how they'll fit. And their aptitude for, working with a pretty dynamic workforce like we have.
That's great. And then for, other roles in the company, you had mentioned in the past that you have in-house aptitude test. We
do. Over the years, we've created our own. We have a general aptitude test, which is fairly basic. It kind of gives you an idea of a person's, level of math, organization, kind of the things that you would want of an inside sales type situation.
Oh, yeah.
To just kind of give you a basis of where that person's at. And like I said, it's not there's nothing that really is a yes or no, but it's just kind of where that person maybe will need to be coached in the future, or how they're going to fit in your team.
Gotcha. Okay.
Kind of a good indicator.
So the moving from there to making the hire and onboarding, it sounds like Paylocity is also now helpful with regard to onboarding. So probably some of the check the box activity that might happen right when you bring somebody into the company.
Yeah, the way we do it, and I'm sure everybody has their own method, is we funnel. Once somebody wants to apply, we point them to the link through Indeed, which actually feeds into Paylocity. They can enter all their information in there. It kind of streamlines, it lets them know what the next process is. They're not waiting for a manager to call them back or HR to call them back. They have their unique login, the day that they apply. It can be a challenge, based on our industry. Not everybody is super computer savvy. But we do offer, like, if somebody comes into a branch and wants to apply, they can sit down at one of our terminals there, and they could apply right at that point.
Oh, wow.
So
that's interesting.
You kind of have to, some of these guys are still, going with flip phones. So you kind of got to be a little bit flexible on your method to get them into your system.
Excellent. Well, those are good points. And so your onboarding and then your orientation, what's that like? So if I join, and what's my 30, 60, 90 day, do you do evaluation of performance or mentoring or anything like that?
Yeah, so we have a pretty good structured program. On day one is obviously orientation. Our goal, it's not a perfect system, but is to have our HR manager meet every new employee the day they start, kind of go through an orientation on that particular branch, how things will work, give them a benefits review, make them feel part of the team. We always have an onboarding package, that's shirts, swag, that kind of deal, make them feel like they're part of the team. So we have kind of a rough outline of what their first week should look like. We do a lot of training. Obviously, we have to, as far as forklift certification, driver's training, aerial certification. And that normally takes, it's kind of a 30-day program. Some of those go outside of 30 days. But we also do a lot of, because a lot of people that come to work for us aren't necessarily, didn't grow up in the industry. So we're trying to teach them on familiarization with 1,100, different types of equipment.
Sure.
So it takes a while, but we do a lot of training on kind of an overview of everything. And that's we call it our boot camp program.
Oh, cool.
And that kind of is that first 60 days of making them feel comfortable, making them feel like we're there for them. We have, the training, and we're going to spend the time on them.
So does the human resource manager stay in touch with, like, the branch manager, and they keep like a grid that kind of shows that this person's moving forward and progressing?
Yeah, we keep pretty detailed spreadsheet on where they're at, what they're doing, what their next training is supposed to be, and then the managers that's part of their bonus program is actually based on completing their trainings with new hires.
Oh, wow! So that's great.
Pushed pretty heavy, yeah.
So we'll definitely touch on the evaluation process and how you have accountability with the management team. That sounds very unique, and we'll look into that. So if the point when they come in, do they get a job description or like any kind of sheet that shows them here's their responsibilities for that title or whatever it might be?
Yeah, for sure. We use the Key Accountability program, and we've had that for before I started even here, and it has pretty detailed expectations and a description of each position, whether it's an equipment attendant, and the different levels that we have of that, yard manager, inside sales, and it kind of oversees like what their responsibilities will be, kind of who they'll report to, what our expectations are of that position. To make it pretty, I like to be clear with, I think everybody does. You want to be clear with what you're expecting of that employee and where you see their path going.
Does it give them like a score, or is it more like subjective than that?
It depends on the position. We do have a review that the managers do with their employees twice a year. And then it kind of works up from that. Like our managers, then the district managers have ones once a quarter with the managers themselves. But it does have a breakdown on, 10% of their job should be focused on this, 20% of their job should be focused on this, to kind of give them like an idea of where they should be focusing their time and what they're going to be, held accountable for.
So that's very critical what you're bringing up there. So we find that is not the norm in the industry right now, and we would love it to be the norm. And that would be to say, hey, there's a pie chart for everybody. Yeah. How much of the pie is a certain accountability versus another? right? So
Yeah.
that works out.
Yeah, and I mean, I even have that as CEO, with
Oh, wow.
what I report to the board on, where my time should be spent, what's most important, like in my position, and we have that for everybody in the company.
That's excellent. I just hired a marketing associate yesterday, and the title is marketing associate, but I realized 50% of the accountability was lead generation. So I'm like, okay, maybe we have the wrong title here. But the good news is her document that she received shows that 50% of her evaluation is going to be based on sales and not marketing.
Yeah.
So it's so important to make sure people understand that. That's great. No, it's good to hear. And then you had mentioned just a moment ago about part of how you hold your branch managers accountable is they have to have success with their new hires, right?
Yeah.
So what's that look like? How do you guys communicate on that? And do you have like a history of certain people being better at it than others, where they just have your turn and burn? You got people coming and going out after 30 days.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. There's managers that training is their strong point, and you can see it in their reviews and then their employees' reviews.
What about your district managers overseeing your managers?
With regard to their reviews of them, or
yeah, like, so from an accountability standpoint, that has to do with probably to some extent performance, right? So
financial performance, yeah,
correct, financial performance.
How we do it is, I mean, just them completing so the managers completing their employees' training is built into our overall compensation package for the manager, but it's only 10%. So how we do it is 50% of their bonus compensation is based on purely financial performance. So just EBITDA, total revenue, based off those numbers. And then beyond that, we go into, sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but there's 5 other key parts, which is training, equipment maintenance, safety pays program, or safety first program is our safety protocols.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of, and then there's, ones on preventable loss. So there's other factors that feed into it. So the training it's 10% of their overall bonus compensation. So it's vital for them. I mean, you would think that would be enough that, would give them the incentive to make sure, that their guys are getting trained adequately.
No, that's outstanding. And, along those lines, so it seems like there's a lot of motivation to be successful, right? It's not just about, opening the doors and closing the doors at 5 p.m. There's a lot that goes on between that. And it would seem to me, if you're a branch manager at All Star Rents, that you need to always be focused on improvement, right? So that sounds like a pretty big deal. So along those lines, do you guys have any kind of philosophy as to, it sounds like you do give bonuses. So my question was, do you consider variable compensation like bonuses to be pretty important?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Great. Because that's, I know that part of it philosophically is to say, okay, we want to give people a healthy wage and a healthy base, but we also want a portion of their compensation to be variable to make sure that everybody's shooting on all cylinders and moving the right direction, right? Learning from each other and all that.
Yeah.
Now, learning from each other. So let's pause on that there. Obviously, I'm a peer group guy. I believe in learning from each other. Do you ever have any kind of your own peer groups where you get branch managers together and they talk about their pain points and what keeps them up at night, or any of that?
Yeah, we do. So we adopted the EOS system.
Oh, get out. Okay.
Yeah. So we do. I mean, we kind of, it's evolved, into its own kind of thing, but we still use the traction tools, and the leadership team, we hold our, meetings weekly. And then the managers with their district manager, they hold them once a month. In a similar fashion. So it's a time for them to get together, address, their district issues, so to speak. And then we also have, our regular manager meetings twice a year, which is a time for all of the managers, myself included. Normally involves our office manager and then the DMs and stuff to kind of all get in the same room, and that's, we cover some topics, but a lot of it's, roundtable discussion on what's pressing, what their needs are, where they see their particular markets going, and a lot of feedback on what we're doing and where we should be going.
Excellent. So, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but we adopted Traction as kind of a book club approach a couple of years ago. So a lot of our members currently are using EOS implement. Our company itself, we do L10s and we do EOS implementation.
I think that's where we got it from. Actually, was from
get out.
your guys.
Okay, so.
Yeah, we do the L10s and everything. Yeah.
See, that tells you how old I am, because it's like it was so many years ago. Wow. But we've actually this year we created a peer group book club, and so we have an EOS Traction consultant who runs sessions on different portions of the book. Yeah. So it's a neat one, but very cool. So you've actually evolved that quite a bit, because you've had it for a couple of years. And now it's become your thing. So number one, you would probably say, and correct me if I'm wrong, being able to create your priorities for a quarter, for a 90-day period, that's one of your big takeaways, I guess?
Yes. Yeah, we definitely set rocks. And I mean, it's more, I feel at the leadership level, we're definitely EOS pure. I mean, you know what that means. It's kind of getting that down to the branch level is where we get a little more flexible on our interpretation of it. But we're very pure at the leadership level with setting rocks and, pushing things to VTO and making sure that we're prioritizing, what our 3, 5, and 10-year plans are.
Excellent. Throwing out the nomenclature, VTO. Everybody look that up. You have to Google it to find it. So it's part of the Traction book. I'm doing I facilitate, I'm at my 14th month of implementing Traction in a 3-store equipment rental operation on the East Coast. And, they got the L10 down to the store level, and they call it the L5. And I'm like, I don't know if you want to call it the L5, because that means it was a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10.
True.
It's like, I think they did that because they knew they weren't going to do 90 minutes. So they
half the time or something.
But very cool. Okay, excellent. And then from your perspective, what are you up to these days? Are you getting out and obviously you participate in the CRA board? Are you doing any training and development, reading books? What are you up to? Anything at all?
Personally, I read a lot. I'm a member of a lot of those management books where they send you, one a month and stuff. And
oh, wow. Okay, now I'm jealous. I need to find that.
Cool. I can't remember I'll just send you to look up the program.
Yeah, if you can hook me up, I'm very interested in that.
It's a really good program. I mean, it's kind of different, topics that relate to, top level leadership and challenges of leading a team and all that kind of stuff. It's really good.
So not my new book now is The Ultimate Sales Machine, because we had so many people in the peer group network start to evolve their outside sales.
Yeah, we're always on that. Yeah.
Do you guys have outside sales staff?
We do. Yeah, I've got about 4 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
We'll have to.
Very challenging, different group to manage as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we did, you might have seen, we did a virtual roundtable on outside sales, and I was nervous / excited to run. It was a 3-hour session.
Wow.
And we were expecting the outside sales guys to stay on the Zoom for 3 hours. And it's like, these are the type of guys that do not do Zoom for 3 hours.
True. Very true.
But it's been enjoyable. And our leader groups now have brought in outside sales directors and key outside sales people. So we're seeing a lot of different people inside the peer group makeup. So this is going to be, I think, I'm reading the book because I want to be ahead of the curve on this. And I really feel like the next couple of years, equipment rental operations are going to learn that they are not a store as much as they are a business, and they need to go out and chase that work, to get the same kind of growth. So you guys have had some good growth the last few years. What's the future look like for All Star Rents? What are you guys up to?
Well, it's having my, financial background, I'm a little conservative on where everything's going the next couple of years.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm really looking just to strengthen the kind of the footprint we have,
Mm-hmm.
and just being more effective and more efficient, going forward, taking the time to focus on, the backbone of our business, people and equipment.
Sure.
And just making that stronger and seeing how the changes to kind of the industry and the economy are going. It's going to be more, whether it's more home deliveries or more job site, kind of moving towards that more, Amazon style, and how that's going to work.
Yeah.
For our industry, which is not as easy. So those are kind of things I'm just watching for and trying to be ready to respond to that, the changing needs.
Well, and again, you guys have evolved into quite a systems-driven business. You guys manage by the numbers, you manage by the systems, and certainly one of your biggest strengths is your people systems. And we appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us on Peer Talk.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan. It was great.
Take care, Katherine. Thanks.
You too.
Macanex Construction Products is a proud sponsor of Peer Talk and PEG. Macanex designs and develops equipment specifically for inefficiencies within the rental industry. Our products deliver high-value ROI as well as innovative operational solutions for your business. We're here to help you get the job done faster, safer, and easier. Email us at info@macanex.com for your exclusive PEG specials. And remember, it's spelled MAKINEX.
You've been listening to Peer Talk from Peer Executive Group, produced and directed by Noah Crowley and hosted by Dan Crowley. Subscribe to this podcast for notifications of future episodes of Peer Talk.